Christ. We have to understand that the church is so important to the Lord that Jesus died for the church. So we have to understand that the church simply means, in the Greek word is ecclesia, means the called out ones. God has called us out. If you're saved, if you believe that Jesus Christ died on the cross for your sins, was buried and rose on the third day, God has called us out of the darkness into his marvelous light. Understand, we just read about Samuel. How many understand that the Israelites did not choose themselves, but God had chosen them to be his people. And he chose them to be his people. He freed them out of slavery, Egypt, and they were simply to obey his word, obey his commandments. Amen. They were called, and you can imagine how many people that were enslaved, and God set them free under the leadership of Moses.
All right.
Now, God blessed Moses to have some help. Amen. He had his brother and he had his sister, and then he had some judges. Amen. But the leadership was in the hands of somebody help me say Moses. Moses. Amen. It was Moses whom God had spoken to, and some people got in an uproar. They wanted to see God for themselves. And the Lord granted them, and when they were able to hear God speak, they ran and hid. Oh no, we don't want to. Let him speak to you, Moses. Okay. So understand that when God says you are his, guess what? You are his. Amen. So we have this challenge with the Israelites. Amen. They had a fear. They feared the Philistines. Now we understand they feared the Philistines. Amen. Understand that Moses was an intercessor. Samuel was also an intercessor. Anybody know about Samuel?
Amen.
You know history. Okay. Samuel, his mother, was the one who had issues with the same old female year after year. When it was time to go to Jerusalem for the Passover sacrificing, there was one here, her husband's other wife would always mock her because Hannah could not have children. And so Hannah got fed up. She said, that's it. Enough is enough. So she did not pull out her 22 nor her 25. She did not get a slingshot. She did not get a bow and arrow. She simply ran to the Lord. She went to the Lord, to the temple, and prayed to the Lord. And her prayer was so fervent that the priest thought she was drunk. Amen. But she said, I am not drunk. He says, I have to get a breakthrough. I have to get this prayer answered. You just don't know I'm this high with frustration. And this woman keeps on picking on me year after year after year. So I was praying to God that, Lord, if you give me a son, I will dedicate him back to you. After he has been weaned, I'll give him to you, and you raise him and use him for the furtherance of your kingdom, Father. And God granted her Samuel. And when he was weaned off the milk and his mother providing for him, he was probably about 3 years old. She took him to the temple, and that's where he grew up. Amen. And one day God spoke to Samuel, and he thought it was the priest. God spoke to Samuel. He thought it was the priest, Eli, speaking to him. He goes into to Eli and says, yes, I'm here. What is it that you want? He said, I ain't saying nothing. You go back to bed. He went back to bed, and God spoke to him again. He went back to Eli. Yes, master. Right? How can I serve you? What is it that you need? He said, I ain't spoke to you. Go back to bed. God spoke to him, and he went back. He said, look, what do you want? How can I serve you? He said, look, when you hear the voice again, say, here I am, Lord.
Right.
So Samuel went back, and the Lord spoke to him and said, here I am, Lord. God used Samuel, and he became a prophet. Now, we're talking about a war going on against the Philistines. Amen. And back in the days, see, if it was going to be a one-on-one thing, they may say, hey, you know what? We want to finish this battle real quick. Like, you take your biggest guy against our biggest guy. Your biggest soldier against our biggest soldier.